Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. In our previous video, we looked at how to analyze Likert scale agree disagree survey data using a pivot table, and also look at how to chart it. In order to get a deeper insight into our data, oftentimes we may need to cross-tabulate our data by some key variables such as gender, uh, and some other information about the response. Okay, so we are going to use this format of Likert scale data that we already discussed previously, and then see how do we chart this by cross-tabulating our agreement scores by some key information of the respondents, such as their gender, location, educational level, occupation, and so on. So how do we do this in a table? All right. So first, what we need to do is to load our data to Power Query. So once we load it up Power Query, the next thing we need to do is to look for all the Likert scale response columns. So we have all the statements that respondents were asked to respond to, whether they agree, disagree, and so on. So once you select all these columns, the next thing you need to do is to go to transform and pivot only selected columns. All right. So once we have this, the next thing we need to do is to add a conditional column. So just click anywhere in the table, then you go to add column. So from add column, you click on conditional column. So what we want to do is that when we are analyzing Likert scale data, depending on how you are treating your data, the idea oftentimes is to look at how many of our respondents associate themselves to the statement they are responding to. So how many people are more likely to agree with the statement, and so on. And that's the approach we are taking here. Our focus is to see how many of our respondents associate match to the statement by either they agree to the statement, strongly agree, or they agree. So these are the two top scores that we are focusing on, the top two. So we are focusing on strongly agree and agree. What we want to do is that when the response is equal to strongly agree, so we want to return the statement. So you need to select here and select column. So we want to return the statement that they responded, that they agreed to, and that is the attribute column. Or when the value, the response is equal to agree, then we want to return the attributes, the parameter that they agreed to, and then we click OK. So this is what we have. So all these statements are statements that the respondent selected that they agree or strongly agree, and we are done. So once we do this, we go to home. From home, we go to close and load, and then we add this to our data model. We want to generate a pivot table report in an existing sheet. So let's pull our pivot table here, and then we have it. So from here, what we want to do is that these are our agreement statement, which respondents associated most to. So we pick this and drop it. And then the next thing is we pick the gender variable, drop it on the column field, and then the IDs in the value field. Okay. So by default, this is summarized as sum, but we need to summarize it by distance count. All right. So once we have this, we can sort this out in descending order. Okay. And then the next thing we can do is we want to see the distribution of the agreement to this statement across the gender categories. So we take show values as percentage of column total. All right. So this grand total is the overall responses. So we need to have that defined well for clarity. Okay, so the next thing we can do is to copy this table down, but now we are not pasting it as a pivot table, we're just pasting it as values. And then what we want to do is to take out this blank variable because we don't need it. Okay, so once we have this, one way we can show the differences in the scores across these parameters and then also across the gender is to use conditional formatting. Then maybe you could check out other ways of doing it. So let's use conditional formatting and see what happens. So we can see that, let's hide this row because we don't really need it. So we can see that the top three parameters are this, and males were more likely to agree with these two statements compared to females. And then you can also interpret in terms of the overall samples. So it's good to also show the number of response females, which was 24, and the males was 25, and then the overall was 49. So you can name this as the basis or the subsample. You can format this. Let's try to give it a very nice formatting. We can call this as the parameters or statements that you are trying to test. Okay, so now it's good to indicate that let's call this top two box, and that is strongly agree and agree. So it's good to define that, so anyone making reference, to this table will know that these percentages refer to those who agree to the statement that, or who associate most to the parameter that the AFA was better. So males were more likely, and 92% felt that the AFA was better, and so on. And this is how we cross-tabulate. So you can also decide to, here you can change after gender. You can also look at the location. You can do a lot of things. You can also look at the educational level and different kind of categories that you can work around. All right, thank you.